everybody, welcome to Vault IGN, episode 19. Holy cow, how are we still around? The Fallout 4 Far Harbor Spoilercast. I'm your host, Jared Petty, and I'm joined on my right by...
Miranda Sanchez, hello!
Across the table from her.
They call me Brendan Spoiler Alert, Brendan Graber.
Yeah, you are robotic spoiler alert, indeed. People were frightened. And then, our special guest today...
You almost said your first name was your last name.
I did.
And that was really funny, and I'm going to just make sure everybody knows that we heard it.
I'm
Mark Medina, by the way. Hello, everybody.
Okay, if we seem especially incoherent during this spoiler cast, it's because we're about 3 days away from E3, and we're all ready to die.
And hungry.
Yeah, and hungry, because Unlocked went over. And you should watch podcasts.
Looking at you,
them, they're great,
Ryan McCaffrey.
Yeah, great guys, do wonderful things, but we're all late for lunch because of them, so we're grumpy. All right, let's jump right into the spoiler cast. So from here on out, guys, you have been warned. We're going to talk about absolutely everything. If you don't want to hear this, it's time to turn off the show and wait and come back and listen to it later when you've played through Far Harbor. You have been warned. Spoilers from here on out. Here we go! Number one. The best thing about Fallout 4 Far Harbor, spoilers abound. What's your favorite thing about this?
Oh, man. I'm going to go with the story itself. Like, just overall, I felt like the story was way more engaging than the main story. Like, I hopped on over to Far Harbor, and I instantly cared about what was going on. Mm-hmm. And it kind of felt like it somewhat waned at the end, but I remember when I started, I was, like, super in on this, and I felt like the last hour, I was just like, all right, let's just get this over with, because it was decision-making time. But just the story itself was super awesome.
You didn't like decision-making time?
No.
That was actually my favorite part.
Make my decisions for me.
Player choice was the one thing I thought Fallout 4 was missing a lot.
Hey, that's what it says on the paper here.
I wrote that note myself.
Surprise.
Like being able to choose how the story concluded, not just one or two endings, but like 4 or 5 with lots of little tangents in between. Like being able to go like, you know what? I don't actually like Far Harbor. What if it just blew it up? Oh, wait, I can do that, and I'm not going to fail the entire thing. Like, you can actually fail the main story of finding the missing daughter and go back and go, your daughter didn't make it. Do I still get paid?
I was like, Kasumi. Yeah,
Kasumi.
I was like, what?
You can get her killed accidentally.
Wait, really?
You can. One of the endings is to have a giant raid on Acadia, and they kill everybody.
Oh, the Brotherhood.
No, Far Harbor.
Oh, okay.
Those synth haters.
Okay.
Gotcha.
And then you actually, Kasumi ends up
and
dead.
then it's just like, hey, better break the news to her parents. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
We didn't find her. Yeah, she's happy somewhere else.
Far Harbor, never heard of it.
Yeah, but I just like that that's an option. It's not kind of like, oh, you failed the quest, restart the game. Like, no, you made the decision, now live with it. And that's really awesome to me.
What was it you just said, Miranda?
I said, oops, sorry, she got obliterated.
Yeah, this is what happens, yeah.
Sorry.
Every time I heard Kasumi, I kept hearing Kasumi Ninja the whole time. That's old man problem. So you liked the fact that you had player agency and choice. Mark, you said you really liked the main story. You felt like
I liked the story that they were telling me.
Yeah,
Yeah, super interesting. Dima's story I thought was like pretty darn good. I remember playing it and I was just like, wow, this is like really awesome, especially since it starts with like that whole conversation about like, are you a synth? And she's like, well, my character was a she. And you're like, no, I'm not a synth. And he's like, how do you know? And you're like, oh no, I don't know.
I know, he's actually questioning me.
I think we talked about this a little bit last week, but again, the one missed chance I think they really had in Fallout 4 originally was letting you take the Covenant test and let it decide if you were a synth or not. I think that would have been a lot of fun. But Miranda, what are you thinking here?
I'm so interested in those. I really like the puzzles. Like, it's not
really
a very Fallout-y thing, but I really like that they use their building tools to do something different.
Okay, let's expound on
that. Because, the building tools is just like a fun thing that you do on the side, and it's mostly optional.
Yeah.
And so aside from building, a teleporter to wherever or something.
The Institute.
I was like, the Institute, like that one place that we don't like, but some people like. So aside from doing that, like having this little puzzle thing, is just fun. It's just like a nice little thing to change up. Also, I just really like the indexers. They just want your help. They just need to get across.
Sometimes they're really dumb though. They're just so like, cute. What? Go this way into a wall? Really? Okay.
Yeah, I had like
hey everybody, I found a wall.
one little one that had a hard time, kept getting stuck on blocks. I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
or they'll fall off the edge,
baby.
and you're like, no, and then they appear back up, and then they fall again. You're like,
Yeah, I don't think any of mine actually
happening?
fell.
Really?
I kept feeling like I
Smart babies.
kept having flashbacks to Lemmings.
Yeah, it was very Lemmings-like.
It was very Lemmings-like. Okay, so I do agree with you that the fact that they found a new way to use that tool, that was really cool. I hate when I'm forced to do puzzles in video games because my like left brain is like a shriveled like apricot.
I get the criticism because this is not a puzzle game. Fallout is a shooty RPG, and this was not shooty nor RPG. So if you're like, I don't want to solve puzzles, I love that it was in there. I think it could have been maybe a side quest and not a main quest. But I do respect that they changed how you look at
most of it
building.
is optional though. You only have to do like the first one, right?
No, you have to do 4.
Oh, okay.
There's 5 in total. Only 3 really matter for the choices.
Okay. I liked it because I like tower defense games. And so even though this is like the easiest tower defense game, I liked what it was. I won't agree that I liked the using the building tools for it. I thought, but the building tools have always been kind of clunky and so I streamed that whole thing. The only time I ever did it was in a stream with Brian Altano, and we had no idea what to do.
If anything, it does kind of suffer from its own limitations.
Yeah.
No, let's hear Brian's point. Conversely, what do you think of it?
I mean, I thought the puzzles were also kind of simple, so it's not.
Yeah.
Like
The last one's a jerk.
The last one's a little hard, but it's also like a hey, go back and check your work kind of thing, and that's when you figure it out.
So it's the editor in you.
Yeah. And also, I don't know. I liked it a lot, and I thought it was like a fun way to change up like what you're doing and to get out into a different space. But yeah.
I do definitely respect the fact that they tried something very different there. For me, I feel like the situation, you're looking more like a stealth section in Twilight Prince or in Wind Waker type thing, where I'm just like, I could have lived without this. But I like when people try new things in games to the point that I'll often tolerate things I don't really enjoy as long as they don't force me to do them over and over again.
Yeah, and as for the building tools, like I only had a problem once when you're in like a small corner and I couldn't get it to the right point and I just had to jump back a little bit. But otherwise, like you could just store the blocks and move with them. So
I think it was a better use of virtual reality than the whole like walk to this guy's memory. Okay, now walk some more and look at a memory. Okay, walk some more and look at a memory. Like that was cool too, but I like a more engaging kind of virtual reality. I think that was a better use of it.
I just want to go around a corner and find a giant geome soldier. That's what I'm waiting for. Get them VR missions though. That's right. You know what I'm talking about.
But back to the story aspect of it, despite of what you thought of how it controlled or just anything like that, I like the whole like concept of Dima locking away his memories, even from himself.
He reminded me of that guy, that one robot in Futurama where Bender goes to an island of like robot outcasts, and the one guy has no memory, and he has like a tape for like sayings, so you'll just go like, your mother.
No, that's a neat bit of sci-fi. I'm glad you guys evoked that. It reminded me a little bit of going through the memory sections in Dark Souls. A little bit of that there, but also the idea of trying to lock something up. And there's some fun psychological nuance to that.
So what did you like, Jared?
I think my favorite thing about the whole thing is probably the we talked about this some last week, so I don't want to dwell on it, but
I wasn't here, so I want to hear it now.
The murder. I really do love the Persona 4 meets post-apocalyptic New England thing. I like that setting. I think that was a really cute thing. I think most of all, this game reminded me more, or reminds me more of Fallout 2, which is my favorite Fallout, than probably anything that's been done since 2. And that's because even though it's a small area, there's a sense of consequence and openness that's beyond binary choice. I really did feel like I was kind of mixed up in something. And I enjoy the sandboxier a sandbox game is, the happier I am, to the point that if it breaks, I'm very forgiving of that, which is why I'm not so hard on Fallout's bugs. So this felt more like a experiment with the older Fallout formula. And older is not always better. And in fact, in most game series, older is not better. But in this particular case, I felt like it fits that open world environment so well, and they kind of dabbled into that a little deeper. I was like, I felt like Bethesda was going, this one's for you guys. And I like
there was a lot of things that it wasn't immediately clear how your effects would work out. Like the whole getting Kasumi killed. Like I thought like, oh, I can convince her to escape and then she won't get killed. Nope, sorry. And then like there's a point where you can try and talk them down in Far Harbor, but the crowd will overrule you unless you've been helping them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what was the point of passing the speech check? I'm like, oh wait, I actually got to help these guys out with their quests, and they'll actually want to listen to me more.
That's the stuff I like. I think back all the way back to Fallout 1, where I believe it's Ian when you first encounter Ian. So, like, if you attack the townspeople, Ian will come out and try to kill you. But if you befriend Ian and recruit him and come out and start shooting, he'll help you gun down the children. Like, it creates. I don't think that's ridiculous. I think that's creating two very different stories because you don't know one's going to happen or the other the first time you play, and I like that.
One thing I kind of wish they would have done is I walked around Children of Adam's nucleus with my hazmat suit on always, and I wish they would have commented on that.
That would have been awesome.
What are you doing? Like, how dare you
there
refuse
is a
Adam?
couple comments that was kind of funny where they get that not everyone has Adam's blessing.
Sure.
So they're like, oh yeah, you need some radiation curing stuff. It's
right,
fine.
like that was kind of part of like one of the side quests in helping them. It was like helping this one guy who's just drinking irradiated water and is dying. And
Yeah.
he's like, hey, he doesn't have much resistance. Can you talk him down?
Like I sabotaged one of their things in a side quest where it's like we need to get this this spray to do radiation water.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but what if I made it to purify water and I just heal myself? And I did it. I'm like, oh, they're gonna hate me. Like, oh, I guess that's okay because you some of you guys aren't that great with radiation, so that's fine. I'm like, oh, really? Cool.
That's
Sweet.
Let's move on to the next one here. Let's talk briefly about the factions on the island. Now, we didn't have any big four factions, we didn't have that clear delineation that was leading us toward multiple endings where we were joining groups. Factions on this island were storytelling elements. They were not things that we became a part of. But let's talk about what we did and didn't like about the factions there. And Brendan, I'm going to have you start here because this was yours on the planning.
Yeah, they all felt very different. And I like how nobody was completely right and nobody was above like having something wrong with them. Like Far Harbor, like they're just trying to do their own thing. That's fine, but they're also a bunch of synth haters and they're kind of crazy. And that one jerk in the town keeps running everybody up. I'm like, just shut the.
Yeah, they're very pessimistic.
Shut up. Yeah, they're very pessimistic. They're also very like staunchy and very, very fisherman like. But I was like, I ended up not really like going along with them, like trying to kill everybody. I'm like, there's probably a better way. And then I went to Acadia, and I really liked Dima as a character, and I really liked that he was flawed enough that I didn't like him in the end. Like once I found out how his secrets, I'm like, no, dude, you that's not how this works. You don't get to do unforgivable sins and then go, oh, I just forgot. No, dude, you got to remember that stuff, and you got to pay. He's like, oh, but the greater good. It's like, no. You got to go fess up. So I made him.
His answer is just make people in a sense.
Yeah, I made him fess up and like tell Far Harbor what he did. I'm like, dude, you got to.
There's kind of a Star Trek, the worst Star Trek movie by a long shot, even worse than Generations, is Star Trek V. Have you ever seen this one? It's the one where they go to find God. And the premise for Star Trek actually works. The execution's just awful. But there's a part of that where they meet this Vulcan that can take away your pain. That's his gift. If he can remove the pain you feel from your memories. And there's a part of that where he's done this for everybody else, and he goes to Kirk, and Kirk's like, don't take my pain. I need my pain. It makes me who I am. I kept thinking about that idea with Dima.
Yeah, and I like how it goes to the thing of like, those who forget past are doomed to repeat it. Like if he didn't remember what he did, he'd just do it all over again.
Yeah.
And so you need him to like, whether or not you choose to, absolve him of his guilt, he needs to remember what he did because that needs to affect what he does in the future.
Yeah, for sure.
I kind of like the Children of Adam more than I thought I would. My initial reaction was just go in and kill them all. I mean, because they're kind of annoying for the most part, unless there's some of the more tame groups, but more.
What you saw in Fallout 4's main game, you just killed them, and there was really no chance to talk to them. So
yeah, except we're in the southwest.
Yeah, and they're just like, hey,
in the
go here.
Storms.
Goodbye.
Yeah, they're just like, hey,
what's up? We're the crater.
Yeah.
There's some rat scorpions on the way in and out. Yeah.
Yeah, so I kind of like that. You got to see the inside a little bit more and how they interact with each other on a deeper level because you can join them. And so that was kind of fun getting into their heads. And I also really like that weird trippy moment when you drink the radiated water and you have weird visions and stuff.
Oh yeah.
I don't think that's what happens when you drink radiated water, but I think it's really cool. Like it's Fallout's treatment of radiation in general is kind of bogus to the 10th degree, though. Yeah, I love the Fallout games because they operate wonderfully as fantasy, but they are fantasy. I mean, you think about 99% of the things that we have in these games would just be horrible if they were extrapolated into reality. But that's what makes this kind of fiction and gaming fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
And I was happy to help them just a little bit, mostly for experience and for my own personal gain, except for whenever they wanted me to hurt people, because at the core, I don't really like what they do. They're very angry and mean to everybody else. But I guess everybody on this island is angry and mean, except for the synths. They're just kind of...
Yeah, I like the hostility. A small environment full of people that all kind of legitimately hate one another.
Yeah, and they have good reasons.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, Far Harbor is terrible to the children of Adam. Like, they just slay them
Yeah.
when they see them. That's awful. Like, even if you guys don't agree. Jeez.
And just talking to people, you realize like that some people in Far Harbor, they were like, they were used to be trappers, and they're like, I don't want to be this life, or they were like settlers, and everyone else died, and they were saved. And like, if that gives them hope, then if only one guy is militantly crazy and everyone else is kind of like just chill.
Yeah. So I really like the complexity. But the one thing, because we don't have a section for this, that I didn't like was Adulton Farm.
Oh, talk about this.
Stupid. It was a trap.
Can you expound?
So like some of the quests you'll get in Far Harbor is going to get a new settlement, but like, these fog engines are broken. Can you just go fix them for the 2 people that lived there suddenly?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh no, you're under attack! Surprise! Yeah. It's like, okay.
This isn't fun.
Yeah, it was just annoying because I wasn't really expecting it. I wasn't really geared up to do that.
Yeah.
And that surprise was not welcome. And you got really hard enemies with it too.
Right.
But one thing I do appreciate about Far Harbor is that it is challenging.
Yeah.
Like, even as high level as I am, I have trouble, and I enjoy that. So,
Far Harbor don't fool around.
yeah.
Yeah, it really does.
I like the crab thing with the bus as a shell. I think it was awesome, or whatever it was. The hermit crab that used the bus. My favorite was Arcadia, only because it's like they were kind of like, you guys already kind of touched on this, but it's like they were the like speakers of peace, like if their successful ending or successful for the whole island is turning the leader guy of Children of Adam into a synth, and that like kind of like solves most of the problems, because it's like the Children of Adam want the fog because it's like, radiation, that's like, it's sacrilege to get rid of it, where it's like Far Harbor is like, we can't see. And so Acadia kind of is just like, I don't know, they're kind of like the peacekeepers of the island.
So you prefer the negotiated peace end of it?
Yeah, that's my favorite ending, is not blowing up the Children of Adam, or not having the Institute reclaim Acadia or anything like that. It's the peaceful, But even that's not completely peaceful. There's still subterfuge. It's Fallout. There's never peace.
You've complied with sin. That's what you've done.
I'm sorry, Brendan.
But the fact that you can
Why
do
should
that
today be
that's
different than any other day?
The fact that all the choices make you kind of uncomfortable. Again, it's very, very, very megatonish.
But that's just Fallout. Like if we're talking spoilers, so we might as well. We could talk about the other game.
Oh, sure.
Spoiler. Yeah. The main game. Where it's like the Institute is kind of like, you're like, you guys aren't the good guys, but you're not the bad guys either. That's like the whole point, is you're not supposed to just be like, I got the happy ending, I got the good ending, the correct ending. It's like every ending is a little like, well,
Yeah, there's a wonderful moral ambiguity to it. It's actually, you're touching on something we're going to talk about a little later in the show, so I'm going to save it.
Sorry.
But no, that's okay. Don't be sorry. You didn't know.
Read the notes.
It's all right.
I'm already sorry.
No. Actually, it's not in the notes, so we'll get there.
Okay.
Let's talk about that ending. Ultimately, you kind of led into this. Who'd you side with and why? What'd you decide?
I'm a goody two-shoes, so I go for the peace.
Yeah.
I just want everybody to live, and I love the synths.
So you're going for the ending Mark was talking about then?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I just want everyone to be safe and happy. Just calm down, everybody. It'll be fine.
There's been so many times where I've played games where there's decisions like Skyrim or whatever, and I'm like, you're going to be a jerk the whole game. It just never works.
And plus,
I like being a nice guy.
If you blow up the Children of Adam, you don't get like a super nice hotel loft like you did in Valkyrie, so the incentive is just not there.
I had to do all the endings because I did the guide, but the ending that stuck with me the most was the Justice ending, wherein I helped everybody out, but then when it came time for revealing the truth, I called Deem out on being a fraud. I'm like, you go to Far Harbor and you tell people what you did. And then when Alan got all uppity, I'm like, Alan, shut the hell up.
What he did, as in making Captain Avery a synth.
And yeah, and fooling everybody about that. And so then Alan was like, we got to kill him. Like, that's fine. That's justice. We also got to kill Acadia. No, you don't. You step back down. So I talked everyone down from destroying Acadia, and only Dima was killed because he committed murder.
So that's what you went with.
And I friend.
And Mark, you described yours to us already, right? So that's what.
Yeah,
you
I kind of like your ending though. I never.
It was hard because if you
around with that
don't
one.
help out Far Harbor, they'll override you and they'll go, no, all of Acadia has to pay. But if you,
I like that though, because it's like, why should they listen to you?
Yeah.
Like, so what, you have great
because
charisma,
from what
but-
they know, Alan Lee is like the main leader. He gets everything done. So unless you get more stuff done than him, they're not going to listen to you. And then that has like far-reaching effects where I'm able to go like either one or two ways. Either you can if you reveal that Avery's a synth, you can get her killed or spared. And then if you have Dima go there, you can get Acadia killed or spared. So I was like, Dima doesn't say that Avery was replaced. He just says someone was replaced. So that Avery never gets killed. And then I talked them down from killing Acadia, so only Dima, who committed the murder, gets justice.
Cool. All right, let's. We're going to break out here for a second now. All you guys have seen in the notes is the word hypothetical, because I wanted to save this question for you. This is actually we're getting a little more esoteric here. No. All right, we played a lot of Fallout now. We got Far Harbor. We've got Fallout 4. We've got the Fallout prequels that we've played. Fallout happens in a brutal, vicious, terrifying, dangerous, rust-stained world. Whether you be out west or in the Commonwealth, it's a pretty frightening place to be. Given the choice between the life you live right now, where you are, this nice, reasonably clean and aseptic world, but all the complexities that go with it, from paying your bills to dealing with politics to handling the real things that go down in our lives as, people get old and die and difficult stuff happens, or living your one real life in the complete fantasy element Commonwealth or fantasy element world of Fallout, where radiation doesn't actually really kill you, and there's power armor suits, and you get big guns, and there's stuff that patches you up back together, but you still one life to live. Which would you choose? Which would you rather live
Jared,
in?
I'm taking a walk here.
Okay.
So pack a lunch. You said leave this world, which is paying bills and dealing with politics. But you're just trading the paying the bills and dealing with politics and fighting to survive with just another version of that, going into a post-apocalyptic world. You're still paying bills in the sense that you need to live, you need to be able to eat and stuff like that.
You're still eat here.
No, that's what I'm saying. So like everything you deal with right now, you still have to deal with in this post-apocalyptic world. Politics, like the politics, it's like we don't have, the president or whatever, but it's like you walk into a settlement or whatever, and those politics are still there, and they're still just like, so it's the answer is here.
The answer is here.
Yeah, because it's just kind of like
death claws aren't trying to eat you.
Yeah.
And Preston Garvey isn't knocking on your door every day.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're picking here.
Yeah, I'm
But
picking
just
here.
imagine,
All
Mark, a world
Tell me,
without the YouTube comment section.
Okay.
Oh, there
I would
is
like
that.
to change my answer.
Miranda, what about you?
I really love my cats.
So you can bring your cats.
I can bring my cat.
But
But they're
also,
radiated.
Yeah, you can bring your
I
cats.
mean, like, the rat chicken's awesome.
So maybe they have 6 arms instead of 4.
Well, the cats I've seen in Fallout are fine.
Yeah, they're fine.
Sure.
They're good.
So I would like to be with my death claws. Like, that would be really fantastic. And I think I could probably lead an army of death claws.
You could. I believe it.
I hope they don't
So
eat you,
does
Miranda.
that mean, would you forsake this life in this world for that one?
No.
No?
I like my life pretty well, but
Yeah.
it is pretty tempting with the death claws.
Okay.
And
But-
people say, I mean, like, yeah, it's scary because they're huge, but if you know the ways.
Yeah, okay, so we have 2 for this world. Brennan, you too? What
It's
do
a
you have?
hard one because there's so many ifs and buts. I like the internet,
Uh-huh.
but I also would like to explore a new frontier of unknown cool stuff and dangerous stuff. I also like showering,
Yeah.
Generally being clean.
You don't want to shower in nuclear water?
No.
Okay.
I think I'd really miss desserts. Like,
Yeah, and I
nice
also
desserts.
I don't want to eat like radiated fancy lad snacks and potato crisps from 200 years ago.
Could they be all that much worse than most of what's in our vending machine, though?
No.
Probably not.
I mean, I
Same thing.
love that we have.
I'm sure it would
We have a
taste-
great privilege here at IGN. We have 25-cent snacks, and they're all delicious, but they are all at least as lethal as drinking pure irradiated water.
I'm sure it tastes better though.
Huh?
I'm sure it tastes better.
It probably does. Yeah.
You probably don't like go to the bathroom. It's like bright green when you go.
That big Texas, though. I mean, that big Texas is good.
What big Texas are you talking about?
It's in the
cinnamon roll.
vending machine.
What
It's
is it?
like giant cinnamon roll that just says Big Texas
For a
on
quarter.
it.
I've never
And no
had
one
those.
should ever eat them because they're lethal, but they're so good.
They sound so delicious
Oh,
right
they're
now because
really
I'm hungry,
tasty.
Jared. So I will say though, I'm like super fascinated. Me and Brian Altano did a conversation where we were like, "What do you prefer, fantasy or post-apocalyptic?" And my points for post-apocalyptic is so like in a fantasy world. So we'll talk about like Skyrim. You walk into a cave, right? And it's like maybe this is the first time maybe you're the first person to ever walk into that cave, and it's like okay, that's pretty cool. Like the thought of that, but think about walking into a house and you're not the first person to walk into that house. Like people lived in this house. Those plates are set out because somebody set those plates out.
So
And
you can do that today.
well, I mean, I'm talking about like of hundreds of years ago.
It's called breaking and entering.
No, but it is cool, the idea that you're walking into a context. I mean, everything around you is a living history. When I lived in Japan, the coolest thing about living in Japan for me was that every day you learned something. It was all discovery. You didn't know how things worked. As hard as I tried to know how things worked, it's constantly, every day, learning some nuance of life. It was like I've never been so intellectually stimulated because I was constantly being surprised and learning new things, whether I wanted to or not. And that was really neat.
Yeah.
Brendan, what was your final call?
My final call was if I wasn't at a point in my life where I was this lazy,
Yeah.
I would probably consider it.
Yeah.
It is very enticing, but I also like what I have right now.
Okay.
We like video games,
So we're
Jared.
staying here. If it's fantasy, if it's the world of Fallout, not the real post-apocalyptic horror that the few survivors would face. You know, Cormac McCarthy's The Road is not a world I want to be in.
Right.
But if it's Fallout, yeah, I go.
You can
Hands
do it
down.
in 10
Hands down.
seconds.
10 seconds, yeah. Even though I might die quickly, probably would, even though it would be frightening and horrifying, I don't want to romanticize a frontier because frontiers aren't romantic. They're terrifying places full of viciousness and cruel acts and savagery and exploitation, but they're also full of discovery and learning.
I have a question.
Yeah.
If you guys were to die in Fallout, how would you want to die?
Oh, I love that question. Great thought.
Or how would you die?
how would you-
Most
I'd like to
likely
just
How would I most likely die?
Yeah.
I'd be like to be vaporized by a plasma gun.
Just like
Spread my
Within the
ashes
first
to the wind.
within the first 5 minutes.
the most likely thing is that I would probably be like eaten by a rad roach because I keep trying to step on it and I'm so clumsy I just fall over and like eat my brain or something. But gosh, how would I want to go? I think that the most likely way for me to go would probably be I'd probably try to be too friendly to too many people and I'd get taken advantage of and I'd be like, yeah, go over here and do this. Okay, I will help you. And then go to this, I will help you. And it's like, why don't you empty this? You know, and then a shark would come out of the water and eat me. Something like that. What about you?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't thought too much about how I want to die. But I would say maybe in the post-apocalyptic world, probably, in some sort of sacrifice to somebody else.
That'd be like heroic.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd want to be eaten by a deathclaw.
Oh, she's
Yeah.
Okay, your Deathclaw love is getting a
just love them
little
so
creepy now.
super weird.
One time I was at a
It's like
zoo.
I love one. I want to be
So I
eaten by
really-
one.
Well,
I
wanna
love them
hear
so
this. What's this?
much.
I really love bears. I love them so much.
Me too. I love
And I was
bears.
just like, if the world were ending, I was just like, okay, these two bears, like these huge grizzly bears, sleeping in a zoo. So if the world were gonna end right now, I'd just climb over the fence.
Local
And let
woman
the
jumps in the
bear-
bear
No,
enclosure.
Just let a bear
You didn't get
rip
those
me
bears shot.
apart.
Have you not been
No.
watching the
No, let her
news?
say it,
They're
let her
gonna
say it.
shoot the bears.
The world's ending. The world's ending. It
ending.
does not even matter. The world's ending.
Yeah.
I just cuddle in between the sleeping bears and just fall asleep. It'd be great.
And then be awakened
But how do you
as
die?
they disembowel
How are you
you with their
I
teeth,
don't know.
right?
They might eat me.
Yeah, they
Whatever.
would probably eat you.
But the world's ending, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. So
And
you
I
just
just
curl
get
up
to
with the
be
bears.
with some nice bears.
I can
for a
respect that.
second.
I can
If
absolutely
the world
respect
is
that.
ending, I'm going to the zoo with a bag of popcorn. I gotta watch how this
Watch
plays out.
Miranda getting eaten
Watch
by
Miranda
bears.
go to sleep.
Just being torn apart. Worth it. It's so worth it.
They're
is
ripping me apart.
awesome.
Why is this waking me up? I was supposed to sleep through the whole thing.
The surprise was they knew it was also ending. They're just like, oh, let's all cuddle. It'll be fine.
Miranda, did you see The
Fine.
Revenant?
Oh, yeah.
That's not how bears treat people.
Leo totally deserved it, guys. They're trying to take the little babies.
He wasn't trying to take
Save
the
the
babies.
Leave them alone.
I love bears as well, but I don't ever
Have you
ever
seen
want to
The
ever
Revenant?
want to
Bear
cuddle with
cubs.
one. Yeah, you don't mess.
You deserve
well,
it.
If you mess with bears, you deserve what you get. I mean, bears
Leave
are
them
not.
alone.
Yeah, but bears are they're frightening, intimidating creatures. They're adorable and beautiful.
Anyway.
But
Leo got jacked up at them.
he did.
He got jacked up.
Moving on from that madness, we got a little bit of reader mail here. So Sam says to us,
Sam Claiborne?
yeah, Sam. No, remember last week you said I forgot a question, and I was like, man, somebody sent me one. I forgot it. It was from Sam. He said, I
Sorry,
think mine was
Sam.
the forgotten question. I asked what everybody's strategy was for Dunwich boars. I incited the raiders to attack.
Came in at nightfall with a night vision scope. I took them all out silently.
Ooh. Anybody else remember?
I just kind of went with the sniper and just took them out as I could,
Okay.
and then just ran in.
Sniped
guns
out?
blazing.
So nighttime, sniped, and guns blazing.
No, I had to look up even what that was.
What Dunwich boars mission? You just
and
wrote it down
I was like,
mission?
I don't remember
Okay.
going here.
So Sam, there's your answer. Dan wants to know.
Dan Stapleton?
No, not Dan. No, Dan. Dan
All the
Pennican.
agitators
Are
ask
these just
questions.
people from The Office?
No, this is yeah. Sam Claiborne, Dan Stapleton. No, Sam. No, this is Dan Pennicott from West Bromwich, England. Dan says, catching up with episode 17, an old resurrected franchise I'd like to see is either Siphon Filter or Legacy of Kain.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but they're trying to resurrect Legacy of Kain with some weird, like, MOBA shooter thing.
I would just love if Legacy of Kain were remade as a Dean Cain simulator.
me find out what
where
that's
it's like Dean
called.
Cain's career
I
returns
heard
to
about
life.
it and I got really sad for a bit.
I used to love Siphon Filter when I was younger, and it was for a long time. It was the rumored game that Ben was working on, and pretty sure it's not now. But I feel like I would play another Siphon
Another
Filter, a
Siphon Filter
modern
game.
day one. That'd be awesome.
By the way, for people who don't have context for this, the question was old franchises we'd like to see remade and given a really cool modern treatment. Siphon Filter would be really neat. Legacy of Kain, starring Dean Cain, I think would be rad. Actually, yeah, Frank and
Can
I
I
were
answer
talking-
the question normally?
What's that?
Like that question?
What, the
Sorry,
Legacy
Like I get to
You missed
choose,
it.
or do I have to choose out of those two?
No. He's just giving us his suggestions.
Okay, Brave
Yeah.
Fencer Musashi. It's a PlayStation 1
Oh.
game by Square Enix. I want that game. I want a new one, Jared. He's hitting me with paper if you're
Yeah.
listening.
All right, that's just.
You don't like Brave Fencer
unacceptable.
Musashi?
No,
Why?
because it's terrible.
How is it terrible?
It's a really bad game.
It's got two really cool swords.
It does have really cool swords. I'll give you
Fusion
that.
and
it's called,
luminance or
what is it?
whatever.
Is it already shutting down?
No, I love that game.
Yeah, sorry I physically abused you with this paper.
You know what? I'll get over it.
All right.
Never mind.
Your attacks were weak.
And I never joke about physical abuse. I was actually did hit him with the paper.
Sorry to interrupt. I found out what it was called, Mr. Dan. It's called Nosgoth, and it's apparently already shutting down.
Oh no!
It's with a heavy heart that I must announce the end of Nosgoth's development.
You
Servers
looked
will
up
run
again.
until May 31st, 2016.
You looked up a game to see if it was in development, and you found the
already gone.
cancellation notice.
Well, we move on from there. Alexander Collins.
Alexander Salamita?
Yeah, no. Why do you think it's all people who work
It's all
here?
IGN people.
Let's see. Goodness gracious. Jared made that robotic spoiler warning voice in the new fall at IGN, and it scared the heck out of me.
I can't believe I said yes to that when you showed me that.
Well, I
so
checked
glad
it
that
on.
happened.
Wait,
It's
what's
just
the
like-
question?
What's that?
Or is that just a comment?
I just reader mail.
Yeah, it's just reader
Oh,
mail.
okay. I thought these were
No,
questions.
these just reader mail. So he liked the voice. If you don't know what he's talking about, listen to episode 18. I'll probably find a way to slip that in here again. Now, that voice was fun. I like that.
Oh, boy.
I
I'm
also,
glad it scared you.
huh?
So I'm glad it scared you.
Yeah, if
Did
you
you
watch
make
it,
the
I
voice?
also drew the spoiler alert sign in MS Paint, I think.
Sweet.
That's the only tool we have access to in the office.
Spoiler alert, that's how we do all of our motion graphics. They're
That's
on
right.
Paint.
That's how it works. Mighty Kylone Kleinoes.
Just do at the Joker 679.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Better way.
Very irrelevant, But what do you think of the next Elder Scrolls game will be? And what do you think the next Elder Scrolls game will be? And what setting? I hope for High Rock.
I have a guess.
Okay.
I think the next Elder Scrolls going to be is Skyrim remastered announced at E3.
I think it's actually pretty likely. Yeah.
Yeah, very likely.
I don't want that. I mean,
No,
Well,
really,
you're
you
gonna
don't?
get it, Brendan.
it's called Skyrim on PC. You don't need to remaster.
It's so
it.
funny because we were
literally
talking,
just came out.
driving in once, we were talking about what one we'd want to see remastered. And I was like, well, not Skyrim because it still looks like pretty good on
Seriously.
PC. We wanted like Daggerfall or something like
I
that.
would much rather
Guys,
Morrowind or
not-
Oblivion. Like even
But
Oblivion's
it's
still
gonna be
pretty
Skyrim.
good these
Not
days.
everyone has a PC.
Ooh, nice.
Anyway,
Shots
I would
fired, Miranda.
I would
Let's
rather
keep it
them
out
move
there.
on because there are so many more areas in Tamriel. Looking at the map, I really want one. If you want to go to the same size as Skyrim, Valenwood and Elsewhere, which is the elves and the Khajiit, they have two continents or two countries next to each other that are pretty much the same size, and we've never been there before. I would love to see elves fighting cat people.
Okay, this is an excellent answer on your part, but why do you have the Skyrim map available, or the Elder Scrolls world map available? in
Because,
front of you?
Jared, I read these comments before we get to them.
He's ready to go.
Wow.
Goodness, nice. Anything to add to that, Miranda?
I'd like to pass because every time I open up an Elder Scrolls game, I'm just like, why am I not playing Fallout?
Oh,
So-
that's right. You're more. Elder Scrolls isn't
Yeah.
really your
Maybe
jam.
this
I
is
started playing Skyrim, and I was just like,
Yep.
nah.
But I can play Oblivion then.
Elder Scrolls super not my jam. I'm
really?
with
Anything?
Miranda on this.
Oh, I really enjoy Elder Scrolls games. I think
Oh, yeah.
because they're actually a little even more sandboxy than Fallout games. And that's what I like about them. Carl Nally says, my favorite Fallout 4 mods are Campsite. It helps so much on survival mode, and the dog meat armor mod. Who doesn't love dog meat armor? I mean, that's
Yeah.
it stuff.
The campsite mod's really awesome because with survival mode, you have so many less places to sleep. Being able to make your own campsite and make a believable one is pretty awesome. So you get that really feeling of like, I'm hunkered down in the middle of downtown Boston. I'm low on health, nowhere to stay. I gotta make a campsite in this ruined bunker. Let's see if I can survive
I'm
the
not
night.
familiar with that mod.
This is actually an old mail that I found that I never read. This is from Raymond Carson. Raymond, if you're still listening, thank you very much. After the Mechanist story, I modded Curie, and then I did her quest. Give me back my mods.
Yeah,
peace mods.
I was wondering after she's transformed, I was like, can you mod her? And you can, of course.
Yeah.
Which is fine because she's perfect the way she is.
But you also lose everything you put into her already.
Yeah, that stinks.
That does.
Oh.
Like, please give me those back. And finally, this is an old one as well from Samantha Okuna. I got to listen to Vault IGN, and I wanted to share my taxidermy squirrel. Guys, I'm going to put this picture
I'm gonna look
on.
at it right now.
Oh, yeah, I'm putting this picture on the article for this. Just check it out. That taxidermy squirrel is amazing.
I'm really excited for this.
Yeah, it's pretty rad. So if you want to send us mail, you can send it.
How long ago was this?
This was in March. I just missed
man.
it. I missed it from Samantha. Hashtag Vault IGN. That's how you find these and how you send us something. So if you want to send us a message, hashtag Vault IGN, and there's a good chance we'll read it on the air.
So I wanted to comment that a lot of people have sent me their Deathclaw sightings for Far Harbor.
Really?
So thank you.
No
Yes,
kidding. That's
I really
awesome.
appreciate that, and everybody tags me in those. And just remember, save the Deathclaw. If there's only one on Far Harbor, please leave them alone.
Save
Samantha,
the Death Call. Leave them
I-
alone.
Let them thrive.
I really like your taxidermy squirrel,
Are you gonna
Samantha.
show off?
It is.
my
it is.
Isn't that great?
It is a work of art.
It's pretty wonderful. I wonder if Samantha did the taxidermy herself.
Wow.
That's pretty amazing.
It's high noon.
Finally, even though half this episode has been a total digression, and I know you guys are headed for, you're very, very hungry. But before we eat, total digression for today. So a lot of Far Harbor and a lot of the talk we've done about it has been about the fact that it's choices with consequence and nuance. That this one really does kind of place you in a morally ambiguous situation with lots of different ways things can turn out. My question for you on total digression today is, what's a game that forced you to make difficult or complex moral and ethical choices outside of the Fallout universe that you really enjoyed? Something that you appreciated where you're just like, I got to think about this a different way. I got to think about this a different way. And maybe the idea of good endings and bad endings gets a little mixed up. And you're kind of like, oh, man, what are some good morally relative games?
Deus Ex.
Deus Ex?
Deus Ex. Both Deus Ex 1 and then the newer one, Human Revolution. I really liked the choices that they kind of gave you, and there was no right answer sometimes. It was like, you could do this, but have such these far-reaching effects. And both in the first one where it's like, you want to become, merge you with an AI and take over all of the internet as we know it, or just shut it all down and like get rid of the Illuminati by just plunging the world into a dark age.
Yeah.
And then like in the human revolution, it's just like, do you want to stop augments, or do you want to clear the path for progression of humankind with damn the consequences? Like, I love those ideas because they're so hard to make.
Yeah. What do you ultimately end up choosing?
It was hard. Like, I think at the end of human revolution, I just destroyed the entire facility. I'm just like, I don't want the world to know what happened here, because it would have too many far-reaching effects where people would not understand what was going on. I think we should have like a reset button for what was going on in that game. So I didn't let the truth come out.
Miranda?
Undertale, but
Ooh.
I don't want to talk about the choices because you should go in that game blind and you should all play it.
Yeah, Undertale is more fun if you go in blind. I
That game
agree.
is so fun.
But you raise a good point. And of course, we can't have a Volt IGN episode without
Undertale.
Without Undertale. So we've gotten there. That's good. Mark, what about you?
I'm the same. Like, I want to. So, like, the game I'm gonna like. So, my choice is Last of Us, and even though you don't get to make the choice, I mean, the choice you get to make is. I won't talk about what the choice is.
Yeah.
But you get to make the choice in your brain on whether or not that's the choice you would make, and if you're okay with that choice.
I'm so glad you raised that, because The Last of Us forces you to do something.
Yeah.
But that's part of what makes The Last of Us work, is you're sitting there going, that's not what I wanted to do.
Or maybe it is,
totally
or maybe
get
it
I mean,
is what you want us
that's
to
such
do.
an important part of the story, though,
Yeah.
because it revolves around Joel's character and his progression and also not progression.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the story.
That's a rare case of a video game successfully wrestling with the player. Like,
Yeah.
I really like that about it.
And I'm okay with the choice. I mean, we've all played Last of Us. I won't talk about it, but have we all played it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No? Okay. Not Brennan. But it's like, I agree with the choice that was made, and I feel like if there was the option to make the choice, that's the choice I would make. And because it's Last of Us is so good.
I feel like The Last of Us is more powerful because they took that agency away, and I'm usually a big fan of playing.
But you still get the choice on whether or not you agree with Joel's choice or not,
yeah.
and I do.
I think that was a very smartly done thing on their part. For me, I think that video games handle sex worse than just about anything else they do. Despite ham-fisted dialogue.
You don't like the Team America like puppet sex, or just like graphics? We're doing sex.
Well, that's not really what I meant. The Team America puppet sex is, for more see Witcher 3. But no, my issue is more the themes. As awkward as violence can be in video games, and how bad the dialogue can be. So the ones that come to mind for me are both games that treat sex in interesting and thought-provoking ways. One of those is Catherine, which has a large variety of endings that are all tied. And there is a certain strange moral ambiguity, because Catherine is a game where you're playing a character that has done things he probably should not do. But at the same time, you get a certain degree of agency in how you respond to bad choices or to the choices your character's made. And you get kind of wrapped up in this, and it goes full Atlas weird. God bless Atlas. But it treats the subject with a lot of nuance and complexity, and even, I think, moral and ethical ambiguity. You guys ever played through Catherine?
Mm-hmm.
It's been on my list forever, and it's like the highest thing on the list that I've wanted to play.
Yeah, Catherine's one of those video games that I think that people that do what we do for a living ought to fool around with, at least.
Well, and it's one of those games where when you have to set time aside for it, because it's one of those games where you can't play it and then go to E3 and then come back and you're like, oh man, like what was I doing? Like you're just not in that mindset anymore.
You want to dive in.
It's definitely something you have to want to try to get done quick.
Yeah, and the puzzle segments are annoying sometimes.
Yeah,
they're hard.
Well, it's kind of like The Witness. Like a lot of people got really far in The Witness and then decided to not go back to it, because it's like once you're out of that mindset, you just can't go back.
No,
you can't put yourself back.
Miranda
there.
knows a lot.
Miranda,
about
why are you
that.
shaking your head? I'm so confused.
I don't want to talk about it.
Miranda had to write the guide for The Witness.
Oh no!
I know. I helped. Chloe did the guide.
But imagine powering through those puzzles.
Oh no!
I just don't like those kinds of games. Like I like puzzles, but I don't like those kinds of puzzles. It's just not my thing.
You might like Catherine then.
Catherine, I think you'd have an easier time with. And going back in time even more, in a similar vein, Silent Hill 2, even though it's not so much about choices, it's about how you engage a very few situations, treats sexuality with a really fascinating and kind of terrifying nuance, and that affects how the game ends in some neat ways. The big reveal in Silent Hill 2, if you get to that point, is still one of the best moments I've ever come upon in a video game. It's like, wow, I did not see that coming. and it's really well done. It makes you think about morality in some pretty complicated ways.
Cool.
All right, so there we go. That's our total digression. But Volt IGN will be back. That's right. We shall return. When? Well, it depends on DLC timing. We're headed into E3. Everybody at E3 say, yay! Oh, what? No, really, I'm excited.
Really.
We're just real tired today.
So this is my first E3.
Your
my first one ever.
Mark. All right.
Prepare to die.
It's fun and exhausting.
No, I'm super excited. Like there's nothing really anybody could say that would bring my excitement down. I'm super excited to work. I'm like, I like chaos. I like how crazy it is.
This week sucks. Next week's great. That's how. Like the week before E3 is awful, but E3 week is great.
I'm super excited.
Well, we're heading into E3. I'm glad it's your first one. We're going to have a good time together there. We're expecting some
hang out, Jared?
Bethesda DLC stuff. Yeah, I think so. We're expecting some Bethesda DLC stuff at the press conference. We hope.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll be back to talk about that soon. Keep us on your iPhone, your Android device, or Miranda. Where else can they go?
You can go a lot of places.
You can.
Like the IGN apps on your PS4, your Xbox One, and on your, like we said, iOS devices.
Yeah.
And I think it's also on Roku.
Yep.
And
BlackBerry?
I don't know about
BlackBerry.
Your
Windows
personal
phone?
data assistant,
Windows phone,
PDAs.
Nokia, your Newton, perhaps?
Can I watch this with the PS2 adapter that connects to the internet?
To the internet, the Final Fantasy 11 adapter?
Who knows?
Yeah, remember that thing?
Maybe.
Oh, there we go.
Can some brilliant man out there, make a mod for Fallout 4 where you put our podcast on holotapes you can play while you're going around? If I was really bored and had that kind of talent, I would do it. But if someone else wants to do it.
Are we all digitized? Like,
no, they're just like an audio.
Just the audio tape.
it's just audio.
Put your
Yeah,
holotape in your
it's a
Boy and then
holotape.
just listen to it.
Okay. I thought it was. I pictured like the games or whatever.
I love that. That makes me happy.
I'd cry.
Yeah, I'd cry a little
a
too
little
if I was modded into
Hey,
a Fallout
Bethesda,
game.
if you're listening, kind of cool DLC.
If I were, I guess before we go, super quick question.
Sure.
If you were in Fallout, what would your role be? Like, what would you want to be as a character? Like a person or like whatever you would do?
Oh,
addition to your death.
I'd want to be an itinerant priest.
Okay.
I would wander around trying to help people have better lives.
Okay.
Yep.
I would be like a builder. Like I try to help build settlements.
Okay.
Whether that means planning or helping build them.
I'd be a scaver out a good neighbor and just scavenge the nearby city for parts. Sneak around.
And you,
I
Miranda?
want to change my answer. I want to be a car insurance salesman.
I'd be a Deathclaw mom.
Oh my god!
I would
Jared,
take
get
care
us
of them,
outta here.
foster care of them, just make sure they're all right. You know?
The Deathclaw Ranch, you just climbing in there, but just snuggle
like
up
the
between
crazy
them.
lady off in the cave taking care of Deathclaws.
Until they kill her and rip her apart.
Just
I
throwing
mean,
death claws at
if
people.
that happened, it'd be okay. Like
Should
that would
be
be
okay with
okay.
that. Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure my
Death claws and
they
bears.
would love me.
I kind of like the idea of being the Michael Landon of the post-apocalyptic world. So I'm just going to wander around and try to help people. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching, listening. Give us that 5-star rating if you would, because it really, really helps. And until next time, whenever that may be, it is coming someday, maybe soon, maybe later. What should they do?
Enjoy your apocalypse.